Um, Good morning, Ambassador. Today we have a special guest. We are welcoming Ambassador Rafael Conde de Saro, Spain's Consul General of New York. As an introduction, I'd like to explain that Ambassador Conde de Saro has served the Spanish government in many different ways, having had worked in many countries in every corner of the globe. Some of his assignments throughout Europe included Chief Director for Eastern Europe of the Foreign Ministry of Spain. He was a secretary at the embassy in Norway and Iceland, and later as Trade and Economic Counselor of the Spanish Embassy in Portugal. Ambassador Conde de Saro was also Spain's Director of Economic Relations with Africa and the Mideast. He was also working throughout Asia as Spanish ambassador to India, Nepal, Maldives, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka, and also as Spanish ambassador to Indonesia and East Timor. His work in the Americas includes consular at the Embassy of Spain in Mexico, chief of the Spanish Embassy in the United States, and since 2016 to present, he has served as the Consul General of New York. A true citizen of the world, an expert in international relations, and an exemplary representation of Spain abroad. Welcome, Ambassador.
Thank you very much. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, it's great to have you. We're so interested in listening to your perspective after having the immense diplomacy experience that you've had throughout your career. And I just had the Queen Sofia Spanish Institute, which I represent, has a few questions that we'd be delighted for you to answer.
Good.
Okay. First question is, how and why did you choose a career working in the Foreign Service?
Well, that's fairly easy to reply. My father was a diplomat. My older brother was a diplomat. I had an uncle who was a diplomat. And so it was sort of running in the family. And I think that as in many other specialized careers, like the military, doctors, or this is a world which is arcane to the ones that don't know it, but is very familiar and very comfortable for those who are born into these kind of professions through their parents. So I think that it was a natural path to take. When I finished my law career, I opted to take the exams for the Foreign Service, and here I am.
Wow. So during your childhood, you traveled to many different countries and learned languages that way?
Yes, and my father was ambassador to the Philippines, to Uruguay, to Canada, and to Germany. And I'd done practically all of my school years until university in English-speaking countries in Canada.
Wonderful. Well, your command of English is impeccable. So over the course of your career, what have been some of your favorite moments in your position, and what have been some of the most rewarding moments?
Well, I think one I remember especially was when I was posted very young to Norway. Was my first posting abroad. I was 25 years old, and it was the then King Olaf's 75th birthday, and I was chargé d'affaires. I was in charge of the embassy because the ambassador was in transition for a new one was coming in, and I remember being dressed up in my dress uniform. My wife in a long dress went to the palace, and I was sitting in the official car behind the Spanish flag, and I suddenly, and we were driving up to the palace, and there was a group of Spanish, and they started saying "Viva España." I felt that was really one of the highlights that I will remember always.
It's amazing. Would you say that was the most rewarding as well?
No, I think it's been rewarding all around because one of the major rewards you get from being a diplomat is that you move around a lot, and this evidently has a cost. It's not free. You especially when your children grow up and they go to university in another country, and you're posted abroad, and don't see your family. But it gives you the possibility of starting anew in another country, carrying with you your tool set.
Hmm.
So the circumstances change, but your objectives are modified according to the country, but the techniques and that you use are in your baggage, which you
Hmm.
carry with you. And it's always extremely rewarding to obtain the objectives you have set yourself by using your capacity to understand the country and to synchronize with the country. And I think that's the most rewarding thing professionally.
Wow, very good. And with respect to the United States, where are the largest pockets of Spaniards in the United States?
Well, the largest pockets at present are in Florida and in New York. They're the two consulates that have the most Spaniards registered. But in total, there are about 200,000 Spanish citizens in the United States. We've never had a large population. And it has varied according to the years and to the centuries because there's been Spaniards coming here since the beginning. But it's never been a huge amount of people. Spanish speaking people are the single largest minority right now. But Spaniards from Spain, it's not a very large number. We
Hmm.
have 43,000 roughly in the five-state area, which I cover, and about 50,000 registered in the Florida area. And the rest, up to 170, are in California, Texas, all around.
Hmm. And the million dollar question is, with the COVID restrictions, do you foresee that Spaniards will be able to visit the United States again soon this summer?
Evidently, things are loosening up, and the restrictions are being reconsidered on the European, on the EU side, and therefore on Spain's side, because we work within the EU context. There have been very clear reductions in control requirements over the last week. I think we're waiting for the United States to be able to reconsider and possibly modify the presidential directive that was set up a year and a half or 2 years ago, which limited the access of foreigners into the United States.
That will make a lot of people happy.
Oh, yes, and reduce our work.
Yes, I'm sure. And going back to the Spaniards here in the US, what are the demographics today of the Spanish Americans? Are they professionals? Are they,
Well, there's a mixed bag. There's the 150 years different bursts of migrants coming to work, and then there's always been a steady presence on the academic, the uh, artistic, the painters, flamenco dancers,
doctors?
because especially in New York, because New York is the mecca for culture. So anybody with talent that has to end up coming to New York, or he or she hasn't made it. So there's always been a steady stream, and I think that right now what we have the most of the new currents of migration are professionals, not only the ones that run the Spanish companies which have offices in the United States, but those that are starting to do venture capital and startup projects, and the number of scientists and researchers and has increased a great deal.
Very good. And with respect to Spain and the United States, there's been a long term partnership throughout the centuries. Spanish supporting the United States during the American Revolution, that we know well. But my question to you today is the current situation. How do you believe the Spaniards, the Spanish citizens, relate to the United States today? People from
Well,
Spain.
I think that there is in general a good opinion of the United States in Spain. it fluctuates a bit according to the circumstances, and in some time back, there were problems generated with that questioned the traditional European United States relationship, the importance of the European allies, of which, because Spain is not only a member of the EU, but it's a member of NATO, and there are American bases in Spain for many years. So I think that there is a good opinion of the United States, and they're very excited and about the recent changes in American policy towards the European allies.
Great. And last, well, two more questions. In your opinion, why is it important to spread cultural awareness?
Well, I think that the more one knows about one's past and one's history, the better it is to understand the present. Because history certainly incides upon people, and sometimes it's good to open your mind and your eyes to different cultural concerns or different cultural questions. I think that the very close and real relationship between Spain and the United States is not as well known as it should be. Um, there, there was a very big influence, and if you just take the trouble of looking at the names, Montana is montaña, which is mountain. Los Angeles is I mean, San Francisco. I mean, there are so many. There's such a large Spanish footprint in this 16th, 17th, 18th, and even close to the 19th century that is not known, because the tale told is more on Go West, Young Man, and the 13 colonies. But it is a very important and a very positive heritage that exists here. That Spain has left its footprint. It's good to be able to see it and say, my God, this is part of my history as an American.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the connectivity between all of the Spanish speaking world. And the last question is,
Yes.
if you could tell the people of the United States one thing about Spain, what would you like them to know?
Well, I think building upon what I said before, I think that the key is Spain is part of the history of the United States. It's good to know your history. Because it enriches it becomes richer, it becomes more varied. Diversity is very important, and there is an amazing heritage of language, customs, traditions, which is not recognized. And I think it would. I think Spain as part of the U.S. would be my message.
Perfect. Well, Rafael, I will not take any more time up for your busy day, but I thank you immensely. You are a very important part of our institute on the Chairman's Advisory Board, and we are honored to have you here with us.
Thank you, and I want to praise the work done by the Queen Sofia Institute. It's playing a very important role in making the U.S. aware of its heritage.
You couldn't have told us sweeter words. I appreciate that. And from the executive team and the non-executive board, we thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.